is Jessica Webster.
And this is Sam Pogue of the Fitness Break Room podcast. Sit back, take a well-deserved break, and learn about the journey that helps shape the most successful fitness professionals in the industry today. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fitness Break Room podcast. I'm your host, Sam Pogue. We're in Los Angeles with Jessica Webster by my side. You're still lovely today.
Oh, thanks.
I know. I had to make sure I changed it up a little bit. And we are here in the beautiful California sunshine with Matt Berenc, the Director of Education for Equinox. And we're really excited to have him and to be in this immaculate, beautiful club sitting on top of, what area? West Hollywood? Beverly Hills?
West LA.
West LA.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah.
So what is, can I get into it? What is Equinox? And for people who may not have ever heard it or grew up in Iowa and they don't have Equinox, what is this place?
I mean, in the nuts and bolts of it, and I'll probably get into a little bit of trouble framing it in this way, we're really high-end fitness chain. But the reality of it is we're actually a lifestyle brand.
Yeah.
You know, we look to attack kind of all elements of what somebody brings to their life. You know, our tagline, for instance, is "It's not fitness, it's life."
I love it.
That's the way we look at how we work with our members and really why we do what we do, because it's great to, you know, have our beautiful facilities and you know, provide phenomenal training and classes and all those things, but it's done ultimately to support the lifestyle and making sure that, you know, our members can do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. And as the Director of Education, what does that do here?
So it basically, my position is all about, you know, creating content and curriculum and education, not to use my title in the answer, but to create education for our trainers.
Oh, wow.
And so basically, in a nutshell, you know, my role is designed to put together, you know, our curriculum. We have an internal education platform that we bring all of our trainers through, but also bring people in from the outside, find new content that's going to be relevant to our teams, that they're going to want to learn, really stuff that's going to engage them and really help them be better trainers and really get their skill set to a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the first time that I've been able to meet Matt in person. We've been emailing back and forth for a while, and you know, we came into touch with Equinox through one of our coaches, Nikita, who's a Tier X coach out in Preston Hollow, and then she's also one of the educators with us on it, and put us in touch with Matt, and it's been just this casual conversation about, you know, what we do and what can provide value for the Equinox stream, and Aaron Guyette, our Battle Ropes Master Coach, is doing workshops inside of Equinox, and which sound like they've been doing really well. And
yeah, he's been phenomenal. Yeah, he's a great example of that we look for the best in the industry.
Yeah.
Not only just on content and knowledge base, but just people that are good people that we want to work with, that I know our trainers are going to want to learn from. And Aaron's a great example. He's been phenomenal. Everybody's loved his workshops, and it helps them up-level their skills.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, and I don't know if you guys have necessarily seen this, but Equinox is by far the best corporate setting gym that you can go to level up your career, because they invest more in their trainers than any other fitness facility in the world. That's a super path for your trainers to grow, because giving them the tools up front allows them to be successful.
Absolutely. And that's really what all of our trainers, you know, progression is based on, is their education and experience.
Yeah.
You know, it's really the reason why I stayed with the company for as long as I have. Is that in order for me to go up from kind of one level to the next, it's based on me going through the education that we have and becoming a better trainer. And once I've have that higher level of ability, then I get to go to that next level. And it's not on purely just, you know, are you selling more or doing business. It's, do you have the higher skill set?
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get into a job like this? I mean, you guys have how many clubs across the nation?
We're at, I believe, 91. We just opened up our newest one yesterday out here in Miracle Mile, but we're at 91, I believe.
Wow. And how many trainers overall are you overseeing?
We have rough estimates somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,700 trainers company-wide. Because we got our clubs in the States, then we have a club in London, and then we have 3 in Canada, 2 in Toronto and 1 in Vancouver. So
missed the boat, Jess.
Yeah.
I know. Come to Ottawa.
Yeah.
There's 9 people who would really love it.
Yeah, 9 people, right.
We'll just make a very, very small Equinox there. Make an Equinox studio.
Light.
Yes.
So this seems like kind of the pinnacle of someone's career. I mean, when it comes to like working a corporate gym setting because it seems like there's so much culture, even though you guys are so big.
Mm-hmm.
And we found that when you get bigger, sometimes
tough.
those things are hard to
Yeah.
control, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to control, and you're 100% correct. And we're not without our struggles by any means.
Sure.
But we have such a culture of education and of just drive to really be the best trainers that we can be, that it's not terribly hard to continue at least having that base of perspective when we open a club or when we continue to expand. Because all of our managers are trainers themselves. They came up from starting as a new trainer in the club like everybody else did, and they built their way up through the ranks, and they became a manager of the club. So that means they themselves went through our education and really know what that process is like. So we basically start everybody on the same level, and that again, we're not without our challenges, but it keeps that culture alive when everybody has to go through it.
Yeah, because people are working more on the ground floor. They understand all of the challenges that will come from being, I don't want to say on the bottom, but, you know, like working with people. So then it does make sense. You know, you get to a management position, and sometimes when you hire just for managers, they don't fully understand what actual people are dealing with.
Absolutely.
So I'm interested to know, how did you get here?
Well,
Start at the beginning.
Yeah. I
Just
mean,
the wee boy.
Who are your parents?
yes,
How'd they meet?
I can go into that. They were in the Air Force. Yeah, I can go down that path, but I won't. I won't go that far back. But I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and I moved out here roughly about 13 years ago or so, a little more. And you know, really what got me into the industry is I'm the youngest of four boys, so we're all really close together. Over the 4 boys over the span of 6 years means you got a really rambunctious household.
Yeah, you got beat up a lot, and then you started working out. And
Actually, yep.
Oh, yeah?
So basically, I'm the youngest of 4, and I was a little on the heavier side when I was a kid, and so my 3 brothers kind of circled around me and said, "Hey, you got 2 options. Either you start working out every day, or we beat you up every day." I mean, and I love my
and
brothers.
that's the Equinox guiding principle
Yes,
to this day.
I've brought that into our education.
Just the big brother mentality.
Yes. So yeah, and I love my brothers, and thankfully they set me on this path.
Yeah.
So I took the former option. I went with the workouts instead of the beatings. And so I just started working out, and it just became part of my lifestyle. And you know, I went to the University of Missouri, got my degree there in nutritional sciences, focusing on ex-phys. And you know, with Equinox, you know, I had worked for about 4 years or so in Missouri, between the city I went to school in Columbia, Missouri, and then St. Louis. But I really kind of dove headfirst into my training career when I moved out here, which was, again, because of my brother. The one I'm kind of closest in age to, he was out here, moved out here to be an actor, and he convinced me, hey, come out to L.A. I had nothing really going in St. Louis. I had my job, but nothing else to keep me there. And you know, the irony of it is I hated LA. I hated the idea of it. 'Cause in my mind,
Most people do when they first move here.
Yeah,
I'm a native. I got that.
It was so, and that's so you understand it. I'm coming from St. Louis, Missouri, where really nothing like LA, and my image of LA is Hollywood. And for my personality type, that's not me. And so I moved out here. And I find out that LA is about finding where you fit in and where you want to be. But I was here for maybe something in the neighborhood of like 4 or 5 days. I printed out a bunch of resumes, and I just went around after a quick internet search of where are the closest facilities. I ran around to 5 universities and 5 gyms, and just dropped off my resume. And I'd like it to sound something better than it is, but Equinox just happened to be the place that called me back first. And thankfully they did, because I started off as a trainer at our Santa Monica club. I was a tier 2, and I kind of built my way up there. But the best thing for me is that the managers I had there really helped me, hone my skills. Because by nature I'm a quiet guy, and so in the training world that doesn't always lead to good things. A lot of trainers are seen as being very, rambunctious or outgoing, or always being the life of the party. I, on the other hand, am the guy that sits in the corner of the party and just observes everybody. So I tend not to talk a lot. But they helped me kind of figure out what my other skills were that I could then use to turning into being a successful trainer. So I had the luck to start there, and then I really just dove into every opportunity that I could to just progress my abilities. I went from, going to every bit of education. So, EFTI, which is, the department that I head up with my counterpart in New York, you know, basically that existed then. And so I would go to everything I went to the curriculum like our trainers do now. I'd go to the workshops they provided. I did all those things, and I just dove headfirst into it as much as I can, worked as hard as I could. And then I started getting into the opportunity of, hey, I'm going to lead some education, because my managers asked me to. And then I kind of dove into that. That was my personal nightmare, by the way, to lead education, because that required me to be up in the front of a room talking to people. And then I progressed up. I went into Tier 4, which is now Tier X. So the club I opened up was the second Tier 4 facility for Equinox, and I had the opportunity to be the manager there for that program. And I worked there for 8 years, built up my ability to deliver education and working on the education side of things. And when my predecessor for this role, Geraldine Coopersmith, decided to leave the company, I was offered the position, and I couldn't say no. I mean, it was an honor to be asked, if nothing else. But it's to understand that now I get to be in charge of the education, or at least I don't even want to say in charge of, because it means like I got all the control. To help guide the education more so, is I think a better way to put it, that all of our trainers go through. Yeah. That's a huge responsibility, huge honor, and I jumped at the chance.
So coming from someone who worked in the Globo corporate gym setting, what kept you inside of here? I'm sure you had offers. If you're a successful trainer, there's always the allure of,
sure,
well, if I was private, right? And then before you actually run the numbers, going, okay, how much do I actually give up? It's relatively, it's about the same. It's really, if you have a good pay structure at a club like Equinox, if you're an individual trainer paying rent somewhere, it's pretty comparable without any of the risk. But why did you never take that jump?
One, and just all, because it's not the reason why I stayed, but the pay here is good. They have a very good pay structure. But really, ultimately, the reason why I stayed was because of the education. That's, what attracted me and what really kept me here initially and ongoing, was that there was such a high priority paid on just absorbing knowledge and learning new skills and being the best trainer you can be and delivering that education, and just ultimately the vision of what our company has. And I mentioned it earlier. It's our tagline, not fit. It's fitness, not it's not fitness, it's life. That really imbues everything that we do. It's just that idea that we want to have this greater impact, beyond just the getting somebody more in shape or looking better. Just the desire to really push what people can do and really elevate the entirety of their lives, as well as the industry. It was very, very attractive to me to stay around, to keep me here.
Tell us a little bit more about the levels of Equinox training systems from 1 to X, and what entails to go into those things.
So our entry-level trainer is what's referred to as a Tier 1. And so that's somebody that's brand new to the industry. This is likely their first training job, and they're really just cutting their teeth on being a trainer. And so from there, you'd go from Tier 1 to Tier 2. In order to do that, you go through our internal curriculum. And so we pay you to go through it. We actually pay you for your time. And
hold on, that's right there. Just they pay you to get more education.
Yes, that's always a benefit. But we want to respect everybody's time, and time is a valuable commodity. So even though we're giving you education, we want to also be respectful of that. But in order to go through, you have to go through our curriculum. And so once you're finished with that, and it's about a 2.5 month process. And so you go through the curriculum, then you submit a case study, you go through just a couple steps, and then you become a Tier 2. And then from there, you're there for a little while. Then you go to the next level of our curriculum. And then that's another about 2 month process. And then you go from there to Tier 3. And then we have Tier 3 Plus, which is kind of the side tangent off of Tier 3, which is our nutrition focus. And for that, you have to be certified in precision nutrition.
Nice.
So basically, we pay you to get certified, or pay for your certification in precision nutrition. And you go through that. You're European certified, so you're Tier 3 Plus. And then the pinnacle of everything we do is our Tier X program. We tend to refer to that as the tip of the spear, so to speak. It's where we try to have all the innovation and test out new ideas and really kick around things that we want to do. But it really is the culmination of our entire approach, which we refer to as the M&R process, movement, nutrition, regeneration. So we try to make it all come to life there.
Wow, I want a job here. You guys
Right.
hiring? That sounds awesome.
That's the fact that you guys pay people to do the education is mind blowing, right? Because you guys do take such good care of your employees across the board. I mean, when Nikki told me that she got maternity leave as a trainer, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's game changing.
Well, that's one of the things, and this kind of goes to, our focus is, on the member, but we also want to focus on our employees. And, the reality is for the longest time, training has been seen as this, oh, that's a side job, or that's the in-between job you get into before you do your real thing. And really our perspective, no, training is a career. It's something that you can do for your entire life. That's your sole focus. And we wanted to create an environment that reinforced that. And thankfully we've been able to do that, and we'll continue to do better at that. But that's something that we really wanted to make sure was a possibility.
So I imagine that your hiring process is pretty extensive, because I know that there are tons of people out there who would love to work here, right? So maybe some insider info. What do you look for when you're hiring?
Well, actually, the reality is we look at more the person, whether they're a fit for us as a company. So it's not necessarily do you have all the certifications, and we do make sure they at least have a national certification before coming in. But beyond that, we just want to see, as a person, are you somebody that we want working in our clubs? Or do you want to work hard? Do you want to be part of the team and have this really client-centered mindset where you're focused on the person in front of you? Because we have our education, and I'm partly biased about it, but we can teach you to be a good trainer, but we can't teach you to be a good person.
Totally.
And that's honestly, when it comes to the interview process, we're always looking. We have a lot of clubs. We're constantly expanding. We're always looking for new people. And really, if somebody wants to work for Equinox, it's really, are you a good person? To put it as vaguely as that. But we want just good people in here that are really focused on our members.
What's up, everybody? Jessica here. Okay, this seems like a somewhat natural break in the show to let you in on a few things. First off, we also have a video version of every episode, so if you're not in your car, or you are whatever, and you like to live dangerously, you can go to fitnessbreakroom.com to see Sam and I and our lovely guests recording in LA, San Diego, New York, Austin, all the places we visit to bring you access to the break room. Secondly, we need to go in for an ask. I know it's early, but this is so important to the success of the break room. This might be more info than you want to know, but hey, maybe you're starting a podcast and want to know this. We need to hit at least 30 good reviews in our first week or so after we've launched, so it would be a huge gift to us if you could take 30 seconds to subscribe to the Fitness Break Room on iTunes and leave us a review. If that happens, there's a good chance we'll be showcased in the new and noteworthy section, and that's exactly what we need to ensure the podcast is off to a strong start. The stronger the start, the more time we can dedicate to bringing you these unique stories of fitness professionals that are just rocking this industry. If you could do that, that would be amazing. To make this ask a little bit more juicy, if you send me a screenshot of your review, I'll give you an extra entry into our monthly Fitness Industry Night giveaway, where Sam and I pick one subscriber to win hundreds of dollars worth of fitness swag every last Friday of the month. This month, it's December 2017, is a huge assortment of Onnit supplements and golden earbuds. Fancy. So you can find all that information on our homepage. And thanks to Onnit, as always, you guys rock. Love you. If you haven't entered to win this giveaway, you can go to our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, to do that. And then you can email me your screenshot of your review on iTunes at jessica@fitnessbreakroom.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram at jessicawebster_, and I'll give you that extra entry to win that awesome giveaway from our friends at Onnit. All right, that's it for me. Enjoy the rest of the show, and thanks so much in advance for your review. It means a lot to us. It really does.
A little bit more about going back in your life a bit. When you got your first training job, you, on the scale of extroversion or more on the introverted side, do you have any tips for other aspiring trainers who are like that,
Sure.
who might be working with somebody who's less aware of that just being a personality type?
And I've thought about this actually a lot, because it's a running joke in my family that I am the quiet one, because my three brothers are not. They're the exact opposite. They'll go into a party and know everybody in the room in 5 minutes. So in thinking about it, one of the best things I can tell somebody if they are on the introverted side of things as a trainer, don't try to fake who you are. Don't try to make yourself extroverted or seem extroverted because you think that's what you have to do, because that takes away from your authenticity. People are going to pick up on that, and whether they know why or not, they're going to inherently not trust you. It doesn't mean you can't amp yourself up, and I've done that plenty, where you step a little bit more out of your shell and you bring yourself to the forefront. But own who you are. It's a strength to be introverted. It's not a weakness, as sometimes it's seen. But beyond that, because introverted people tend not to do well in groups, we do very well in one-on-one situations, which, as a trainer, our livelihood is built a lot of times on one-on-one situations. So use that as your strength. Like, engage with somebody in a meaningful conversation, showing them how much you're interested in their path and what they want to do, and really be focused 100% on that conversation. And that's something that a lot of introverts tend to have that ability to do, because since they don't like to talk, they're very used to listening, and now they can use that skill to say, that active listening process, understand what people are wanting to do, and really reframing that back to the person. That really creates that high level of trust with the member.
Oh, that's awesome. Sam, what are some benefits of being an extroverted trainer? What are your pros?
Beyond being the loudest person in the room that knows everybody.
Listen to me.
I mean, no, I think it's super important, because these are the two ends of the spectrum. Like, I'll be the one, like, I got, when I was a trainer, it was, my club manager was like, got another complaint about how loud you were. And she's like, she trained with me. So she's like, I don't care. I like it. Right. It's, you have to do it with tact. Right, you can't do it just like yell to yell. But it's like, if your client's doing something big, like, I want to celebrate that.
Oh, absolutely.
And at the same time, I also respect the idea that not everyone's going to enjoy that. Right, Grandma Betty may not like a hoot and holler and loud, and so I might have to change my approach with her versus, I might have someone getting ready for a powerlifting meet and like they love the rah-rah. So knowing when to put that in and when to not have it in is super important, right?
Yeah.
So as loud as an extroverted as I am, it's also being able to read people and what the true skill set is. But at the same time, like, you don't have to be me to be successful in the industry. My first mentor, Tony Gracia, he was similar to your personality type. Like, he's not the one that necessarily is going to go out of his way to be loud, and is just he's a very smart coach and very into like making sure you're going to be successful, and builds a relationship with you and him sitting there together. But it's not on a grandeur scale, like, and he's not searching for that. And I think I think you hit the nail on the head. As long as you own that process, I think you're going to do just fine.
Yeah, I mean, and you called it out. There's an element of being a chameleon, so to speak, when you're working with your clients. You can't. Yeah, at the same time that I'm in full support of people being who they are and owning their strengths, you do have to take a look at, okay, well, what can I do to expand myself? Right. If I just, like, for instance, if I just really only stayed as an introvert and didn't want to expand out of that shell, I would never have started leading workshops or getting in front of people and talking. So you have to look for opportunities to do more and be that a bit of that chameleon. Because if I'm an introvert and I have somebody that does want that rah personality type, I have to give them a little bit of that. Doesn't mean I have to be inauthentic to who I am. I just got to find how that works for me. And again, it just boils down to just be comfortable with who you are, which is a hard thing to do. Especially for young trainers coming in. You don't know what you want to do, and career-wise, life-wise. So just that, it sounds easy in theory, like, oh, just be who you are.
Totally.
But no, you gotta go through some kind of self-discovery at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's taken me a lot of years, and I'm sure a lot of people would love it if I was more quiet. Sorry, John. But at the same time, it's like, do you celebrate what people do well? It's the whole Gary Vaynerchuk thing of like, putting the pedal to the floor and celebrate what you do well, and let's go for that instead of relishing on the things you don't do well. But in this industry, you do have to play the game because you do want to evolve. Yes. You do want to level up. And hopefully you never have trainers that just stay at level 1. No. Because if you did, you're like, Joe, you've been a level 1 for a year. Like, get out. Like,
well, from our end, it's if somebody, it's the kind of the question. If somebody wants to stay at a certain level, it's really asking the question why. Like, ultimately, there's nobody wants to stay where they are just for the sake of staying where they are. Like,
right.
There's always a reason behind something, kind of searching for that deeper why. Same with our clients. Nobody wants to lose weight just for the fun of coming in and losing weight. There's a purpose behind it.
I love eating chicken and broccoli. I'm just going to make a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's super fun. That's what I enjoy. So if a trainer doesn't want to, seemingly doesn't want to progress, it just requires us to actually take that time to sit down and talk to them about, well, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Like, what does this look like for you in a year, 2 years, 5 years? Because there's often a reason behind it. Sometimes it's just pure fear. I don't want to go up because it means it's going to be harder to build business, or it's going to be harder to do this, or or they don't have confidence in themselves. There's a reason behind it, and we want to make sure that we're understanding that, so that way we can help them with that, because there's always an opportunity to get better.
You charge more per tier, right?
Yes.
If you work with a coach. And,
Yep.
and so many young and old trainers, I know a lot of veteran trainers will say, who've been in the game 10 years and are scared to death of raising their prices. And it's like, I'm going to lose all my business. And it's like, or your clients will celebrate that you're doing better. And for them, if they're spending $1,000 a month on personal training with you, it's not going to break the bank if they're doing $1,100 or $1,200, right? And they're like, if you're living happier and you're growing, then, for them, I think people forget that the members will look at their trainer as a status symbol too, and not in a bad way, but it's like, oh, I train with Nikita.
Yeah.
She's a Tier X coach.
Oh, yeah.
She's a badass.
Yeah.
And then it's
she
like,
is.
ooh, she is. Nikita is a badass. And it's like, that's prideful for them.
Yeah,
right? And they want to
absolutely.
look at that. So instead of being fearful that you're charging $20 more an hour, that your client might actually really relish in that.
And the thing that I think trainers need to understand is, in exactly that, it's how you make a business. Like every other industry does the same. Like lawyers, as they get more experience, their rates go up.
Yeah.
Doctors, their rates, same thing happens. So we're no different. I think one of the things that kind of flies under the radar for trainers, at least in the perspective of our members and clients, is what they do to be that better trainer, to charge more. And so what we want to make sure that people understand is that need to highlight the education you've gone through. If you know that you're going to be going to a higher tier and you're going to be charging more, or wherever you work, whatever you do, talk to them about why. I've gone through this workshop, or I did this education, I'm learning about this. Bring them on the journey of development that you're going on, so that way when it comes to that point of, hey, now my rates are X, it's not a surprise. It's not you don't have to backtrack and say, it's because I did all these things. It's because they know what you've gone through.
Yeah. It's like when I was a trainer once upon a time, like clients would love when I went and learned something new. It's like, oh, what's coming now?
Yeah.
And then it's like the running joke, like when I discovered fat grips. And they're like, God, everything has fat grips right now. It's a lot of grip stuff. And they're like, okay, thankfully I love you, but I don't love this. And it's like, well, go to something else and then come back with that.
Yeah, one of my clients would always pinpoint, like, you went to a workshop this weekend, didn't you? You did something. And I'm like,
You have On-It stickers all over your face.
Yeah.
I love it.
I got no idea what you're talking about. I just came up with this, I promise. Yeah.
So for a lot of you guys, I mean, a lot of people want to eventually get in the front of the room, right? And early in their career, they feel very prideful that that's how they know their ultimate status level. Where someone like you is like, I didn't necessarily want to be in the front of the room, but you built yourself up to be that way. And growing as a trainer, you got to do it kind of multiple folds, right? You got to be good in a one-on-one. You got to be good in a small group. You got to be good in a large group. And then to be an educator where you're teaching your peers is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Right? So like when I'm teaching a seminar and I've got a doctor of physical therapy and then who's also an expert in strength conditioning and has all these other accolades, and it's like he comes up and asks me a question, I'm like, oh, I better have an answer that's not, right? And that's it's not that you couldn't present on whatever material and do a little in-service, but being able to manage all those questions.
Yeah. Well, one, and this was a hard thing for me as well, it boils down to having confidence in your knowledge base. If you're gonna take the step to be up in front of the room, be confident that you know the material.
Yeah.
And part of that comes from, having the patience to get to that point. I think one of the things that a lot of younger trainers try to rush towards is being like, they started training 2 years ago and now they want to be the person in front of the room. I didn't go to be that person in front of the room until I was, somewhere near like 8 to 10 years deep into it. And so you have to build up that comfort level with your subject matter and find what you want to speak on. But then when you are in the front of the room, it's really just kind of engaging with the group as well as individuals as best you can. For the example you gave, the doctor that's in there has the expertise and they ask a question. Part of owning what you know, and this is also a big piece of it, and it takes some guts to do, is also owning what you don't know.
Exactly.
And we have, I talked about our, part of going through this process, talked about our internal curriculum. Well, our internal trainers lead that curriculum. We make educators. Awesome. And so we call them our master instructors. And one of the things we tell them to do or try to get them comfortable doing is somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, don't lie to them. Don't try to make something up for that either. The best thing you can tell them is, you know what, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to find the answer and I'll come back and I'll tell you. Mm-hmm. And we all walk around with mini computers in our pockets. It's a Google search away. You can figure it out. Yep. But you're be confident in what you don't know in that same respect, totally. And have the ownership to say, okay, I'm going to come back and I'll tell you what's going on. But getting to that point where you are the person in the front of the room, it does also take a lot of trial and error. Let's just say you have to fall on your face a bit a couple times to really know what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, I think people respect that too when they see they can contribute to your expertise as well. Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't know that? Wow, I asked a great question. I feel, and now you're going to look it up. I feel like I've added to you in a certain way.
And one of the things we teach our master instructors to be when they're learning to become educators is a couple different learning models or teaching models. Where the vast majority of our people, we're trainers. That's my background. I'm not an educator by nature, and we build into this position. And so we've pulled from some education models to help us with that, and one of them is called the SCARF model, and the first part of it, the S of the SCARF model, is status. And so what that means is you give respect to your learner. Mm. And, so the example that you gave where, if somebody poses a question and you don't know the answer, and, you're essentially engaging them and giving them the respect to share their knowledge and acknowledging that, hey, you're an expert too, you have knowledge. Mm-hmm. I'm not it's not about me being the smart guy in front of the room. It's about you being on the journey to learn what you need to learn, and I get to be the guide in that process. So we actually don't even really refer to them as teachers. We call them facilitators. Yeah, they're facilitating the learning process. And so, exactly to your point, we can absolutely give our trainers. So we have a bunch of very talented trainers in our company that if they're going through curriculum, we want to give them the respect to know what they know and really share that with the group.
Nice. Yeah. As far as extra value add, okay, taking certifications is definitely one of them. Mm-hmm. Do you encourage any type of development of their own business as a trainer? Like, should you have your own Facebook page, or like, what else would you suggest that they do besides?
And so that's I'm not the best at social media myself, so I'll just throw that out there. If anybody goes searching for my social media, no, this guy's not. But we encourage them to really be out there with their clients, because that's where a lot of our members and people are engaging.
Out there on media. Instagram.
Instagram. Share what you got. We have within the club, Equinox specific, various rules around making sure you don't get a bunch of people in the background that members that don't want to be on your Instagram feed. Be conscious of that. You got to still, even though you're in the club, you got to be respectful of everybody else, but use that as an opportunity to share what you know. And that's where social media can be a very valuable asset to a trainer, is that you can use it as another means of education, another means of sharing content and up-leveling other people. I just started diving into the Instagram side of things, and good or bad, but my intent is to show different opportunities, different education, touch on some things, and hopefully have another means of sharing knowledge.
Yeah, definitely. I also am not super great on Instagram, but I think I have some great quality people. I think I have 2,000 people, and they're all A+ players. So I'm okay with that.
I mean, it's one of those things. I'm better at it than I used to be, and it's because I am a desk jockey now and I'm on the road a lot. I still like to at least show that I have proclivity in the market, and that I still go out in the gym and move around. I'm not training 4 times a day like I used to when I was 21 years old and eating God, I remember eating 2 dozen eggs in a day and a couple, and I'm oh, what'd you do? I worked out twice, I trained 10 clients, and I walked to and from work. Yeah. And it's man, that's life.
And then it was adapted to your lifestyle. Yeah.
And then now I'm God, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I still eat a ton of food, but I'm oh God, I would work out, except for I've got meeting here and a meeting there, and I'm not a nighttime workout person, so I'm well, looks like I'm going for a walk, or looks like I'm not having a burger and fries for dinner.
But that does call out something that's important for trainers. Is we often live a very hectic lifestyle. In the sense that we work oftentimes we work when people aren't working. Yep. So we're up early mornings and we're here late at night. And I think for a new trainer, anybody getting into this business, that's one of the things that you have to take into account, is that aspect of how are you going to manage yourself? How are you going to take care of yourself? It's that kind of the idea, if you don't take care of yourself, who will? And if you're not at your best, how can you be at your best for your clients? So it's being conscious about it and also being forgiving about it. Like you said, oh, I can't get it in, I'm going to go for a walk. That's fine. Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to lose all your gains. Just go for that walk.
I wish I'd lose some gains a little faster. But apparently I'm good at putting bricks on and not necessarily at taking them down.
It's building a solid foundation.
Yeah, I'm a very stable athlete.
Nice.
I'm built to just not move.
Well played. Well
Thank you. Yeah, built like a South Park character. I'm not standing up so you can't see it, but
Oh my gosh, you were wearing this little like vest yesterday that made you look totally like Cartman or something.
glaring at you through my sunglasses. I hope you can feel it.
I can.
God.
You're burning a hole
I'm
right
just
through
gonna sit
there.
quietly in the middle, not paying attention.
So when your new trainers kind of come in and get going, let's say I got hired today, is it fend for yourself, go out and get business, or is it like do you guys help hold the hand and help them get clients or give them clients on the front end? How does that work?
It's both.
Okay.
So if you're going to come in and we're a company that's focused on wanting to make sure that people that want to be here, that they're not here, like we said, we want to be a career. So we're not.
Yeah.
We want people that are here to work. Essentially here to put, to build their business and be career trainers. So there is the expectation that they do build their business.
Totally.
We have our members. We have opportunities for them to be on the floor interacting with members. We have different areas where we set them up for success to build their business. But at the same time, we also help them in gaining members. So if somebody joins that purchases training at the point of joining the club, yeah, we look at our trainers who fits the member first.
Perfect.
And then who needs the client, who's still building their business. But then also we give them leads. It's that kind of two-pronged approach. You gotta put in the work, but if you're doing the work, we're going to help you be successful. We're going to do everything we can to make sure, because ultimately it's in our best interest for you to be successful. We're only as successful as our newest trainer. And we want our newest trainer to be as successful as they want to be, because they're the future of the industry. Like if they're doing good and they stick around, which unfortunately there's a lot of turnover within training.
Yeah.
And a lot of really good people leave just because they just don't find the success they're looking for. So if we can keep you successful, then we get more people that are in the industry, and I like the phrase, a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
So if you get better, then everybody else gets better.
Totally. It's and I don't want to put you on the spot with a number here, but typically in the industry, from what I've seen, it's a really high attrition rate. 75% attrition rate within 3 months. Typically, I've seen in terms of trainers' success rate lasting. Right? And it's like, okay, 3 out of 4 people don't last longer than 3 months because we go into it thinking like it's an in-between job, so they're not necessarily invested in jumping in full board, or expectations for themselves was low, and they're like, oh, well, I work out all the time. People are going to want to naturally come and train with me. You forget that there's a whole other element to just knowing how to do a squat or a bench press, and that's how do I connect with people, and how do I convert that into sales, and how do I manage a book of business.
Yeah.
And I think that that's super key for people to understand. And if I think those expectations are met on the front end, which is why I bet your guys' attrition rate's a lot lower than other clubs, because there is so much education on the front end.
Yep.
Right? For me, I came in and they paid for my NCSF, and then I went and got a AFAA, and then I went and got USAW. And because I got paid more per cert that I got, and then until I got to 2,000 sessions, I didn't get my next pay bump. And but like that you guys are paying for it on the front end and giving them all the tools to be educated, not only as fitness professionals, but sales, and being able to learn how to coach. The art of coaching is a whole different ballgame.
Yes.
And learning how to get buy-in and build trust. I'm in the process of reading Brett Contreras' book right now, and I'm forgetting the name of it, sitting on Conscious Coaching. Yeah, and I think it's just super great that you guys do so much for your team coming in.
Yeah, because it's for all the reasons you just listed. There's going at it alone or just jumping in the industry, you don't realize it's more than just the exercises that you know. Because even on that level, it's, do you know how to coach that exercise? Just because you can do it yourself doesn't mean that you can get somebody else to do it. Do you know how to find the different ways to make it applicable to them? Then also, and I think this is one of the biggest things that trainers need to learn, coming into it, is how do you connect value between that exercise and what the member actually wants to do? Because I think oftentimes we fall into this trap of thinking, oh, they're like us. They come in and train because they love training. No, they're coming in to reach a goal, and what we have to do is take what we know as a connection between a deadlift, a swing, whatever the case may be, whatever the exercise is, and really spell out for the client why they're doing what they're doing. This is the value in this exercise, and this is why it's going to help you get to your goals. Because ultimately, that we got to connect to their deeper why. That's going to be what gets them to come back, gets them engaged, and really keeps them motivated to keep going when it gets tough. Because that's, it's not a linear approach. It's, you don't just come in and, keep adding 5 pounds every week to the bar, and suddenly you're putting up PRs every day. It's going to be, ups and downs, and for the trainer and the client, and we got to make sure that we can communicate that effectively.
That's so much value on the front end that people are getting, and I appreciate that approach, because at the end of the day, you guys have 2,700 trainers. There's so many trainers that are being successful here versus like, they walk into a place like this and they're like, I want 3,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet and turf and a rig, and it's like, dude, you need 250 square feet, and you need like a book of business that's flooding you before you go get 500 square feet and 750s, and grow. And I couldn't imagine being a trainer in LA coming into it fresh. We just did one with Cody Story yesterday, and he came into it from a really interesting path, and using it to like help his own personal development is how he got into fitness. But he didn't come from a club like this. He came from another chain gym, but didn't value him as much, and that's where he didn't feel the connection. And so I think it's really awesome that you guys treat your employees so freaking well. I almost want to come back and become a trainer.
We try to do the best for them we can. I mean, there's always an opportunity to do better. We can definitely look for better opportunities to help our trainers, and we can be the best out there, and there's still going to be an opportunity to do better. And so that's where we think if we treat our trainers right, we help them be successful. It benefits everybody in the long run.
Nice. Now, for you guys, what is the mantra? What's the overall educational overlay of the Equinox system? Like, what is it that you guys are going through between that level 1, level 2 that they're really learning?
Sure. I mean, we cover, we kind of run the gamut, actually. So we cover everything from the basic sciences of anatomy, kinesiology, physiology, make sure you have that foundation, up to exercise techniques and different progression strategies or corrective exercises, the kind of the meat and potatoes, what you're going to do on the floor, and then program design. How do you tie it all together? Depending upon what level of curriculum you're going through, we pepper in things like nutrition and regeneration tactics, because those are tend to be the forgotten pieces of training. We're not saying you need to become a registered dietitian, but you need to know good nutrition, and you need to take your bias out of that, in particular with nutrition. That's one of the camps where it's almost, religious in a sense of, I'm this, and everybody, this is the only way to do it, and you got to realize that's not going to work for everybody. So we try to give them a non-dogmatic approach to nutrition, and then we try to teach them about how they weave in regeneration strategies. So recovery isn't just the time in between training sessions. It's, how do you actually actively help your body recover and get ready for that next session, or just to sustain what you're doing.
I love that. What's the guiding principle, or what education have you gone through that really has led that charge for recharge for you guys?
For myself, some of the best education I've gone through was, one with FMS, functional movement systems. It's just taking that quality-based approach before you worry about the quantity or the output, and then all the kettlebell certifications I've gone through, to really take now, how do you build in that quality? Yeah. Beyond that, precision nutrition, I've gone through level 1 and level 2 of their coaching program. That was a phenomenal way for me to, not just on nutrition, and obviously learn how to work with people in that capacity, but just coaching in general, how to connect with the person. I think that was a really powerful experience.
Yeah, PN is like one of the best organizations out there in fitness and nutrition. They just do such a great job of you said, the non-dogmatic approach to nutrition. And everybody's an expert in nutrition. Why? Because everybody eats. Yeah. Like, everybody's a kettlebell expert. Why? Because they can go pick up a kettlebell. Versus, like, no one's going to go critique my 500-pound deadlift, right? Yeah. Because most people can't do that, right? But, like, everybody eats food. And they're like, you got things like what's the health and forks over knives and whatever mantra you apply to. That's not what this is about. But everybody's got an opinion. Yeah. And PN does such a good job. Like, if you're going to be vegan, this is how you should do it healthy. If you're going to be a paleo, this is how you should do it healthy. Like, exactly. What are the principles? I'm excited to bring Adam Fate in.
Yes, he does education for us.
Yeah. He's coming December 9th, and he's going to do an in-house workshop for just the On-It staff.
Yeah, I
And-
mean that's exactly it. It's really taking that behavior-based approach to nutrition, because exactly like you put it, it's everybody is the expert on themselves.
Yeah.
You know yourself better than I know you. So for me to come in and say I'm the expert on you now, I'm going to just go down the wrong path 9 times out of 10. So it's better if I take that behavior-based approach and help guide you to make your own decisions. And that way it fits your lifestyle, because there's more to nutrition than just what you eat. And I think that's one of the biggest realizations that trainers tend to come across, is that idea of just the element of the social component. Who are you eating with at what time of day? Like, who are your friends? Like, these all play factors. Trying to tell for a lot of our clients are business people, so they go out to meetings for dinner, and they do business over dinner. Well, drinks happen over dinner, and if you go to your client and say, you know what, no more drinking, they're going to be the odd man out at the table.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work for them. So you got to see what fits for their lifestyle, and just look for those small wins, and just build on those small wins, and success begets success. So it's just, you just keep going with it.
It's like everybody comes into it, like they walk into the gym January 1, they're like, I want to get shredded. Dude, you're in beer sales.
Yeah.
You're not getting shredded for the life of you. I'm sorry to say that to you. Like, let's just work on you not crushing 12 beers.
Yeah.
You're going to crush 7 beers.
Exactly.
And that's a big win.
That's a huge win. Yeah, find those opportunities for the small wins. I think they get overlooked. Everybody looks for that, that big event that they can point to. Like, yeah, that's what got me in shape.
Yeah.
No, it's just these small little things.
I think it's been really interesting to watch fitness change over the last 10 years alone. When I got into this in 2008, and there wasn't this kind of talk going on, right? You went from like the Jane Fonda and Russell Simmons, like cardio, aerobic based, and then it got real heavy in the West Side realm and sports performance, like cardio is bad, just get gains. And then now we went to like the CrossFit model, like you see all these shredded CrossFit fools out there, just like, say what you want about CrossFit. This isn't an opinion about CrossFit, but you watch some dude do a snatch ladder, and he finishes on like a 365-pound snatch.
Beautiful.
And after doing it for 5 minutes in a row, I'm like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
And then goes and runs a 5K. I'm like, man, that would crush. I would be dead on the floor. Like, just stop me before the snatches are even done. And then we're now in this like group hit type model, right? In the Orange Theories and the Barry's Boot Camp, and it's really interesting to watch the evolution of fitness and where it's gone. Tell us about where you think it's going to go, kind of going from here.
I mean, it's an interesting question. I think the group model is definitely going to stick around because it touches on the kind of social component that our clients strive for. We obviously are very anchored in Equinox to the one-on-one, and that's very, very successful. And that's how I work with most of my clients. But I think the group component is probably going to be one of the big pieces that's going to come about, or that's going to maintain more so when it come about. I think if I were to bet a little bit of money, I think the pendulum's going to swing a little bit away from the intensity side of things, though.
Yeah.
That's more the direction, I think, for the future of training, because people are starting to see you can't push your car to the red line every day and expect for it to turn on, the next time you get in.
Yeah.
And so this idea of constantly, pushing to the limit, I think is going to start to peel back a bit, and there's going to be more of hopefully a thoughtful approach to, okay, I'm going to push hard these days. That's not going to go anywhere. But these days I'm going to make sure I take a step back, and I'm going to focus on the recovery side of things and ensure that I'm owning those pieces as well.
And how do you think that plays into, because people essentially, when they come into the Equinox or an Onnit or 24, they measure success on how sweaty they get and how sore they get, and if their trainer can kick their butt. And it's the trainer's job to like dose that.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah, you're working really hard, we're working at this level, and it's like not blasting them, right? And then there's days that they do get blasted because that's what they're paying you for to an extent. How do you think that the recovery model, because I entirely agree, I think that coming back to like measuring aerobic capacity as like the foundation of strength and not about how much work you can do, but how fast you can recover is truly coming down the pipe.
Yes.
And but I'm intrigued to see, like, versus if I'm training an NBA team, that's easy for me to manage because I'm managing all those outputs.
Yes.
But with the group fitness or like the club setting like this, how do you think that would play into this?
You just have to take a step back and look at their lifestyle and look at all the different components that go into it, and really just break down, what's their work look like? Do they travel a lot or don't they travel a lot? Are there peak times of the year where there's stress? look at what their nutrition looks like. What are they commonly eating? Are
Yeah.
they is it on the level more or less balanced? And then what do they do outside of the gym for activity? I think we can, for the average trainer, we can really take a very low tech approach to it. And one of the things that we've had the lucky opportunity to work with Brandon Marcello quite a bit in terms of educating our trainers, and he turned us on to this mindfulness monitor, which is basically 8 questions to say, did you sleep 7 hours last night? Did you eat vegetables? Did you eat fruits? Are you like the basics of what you'd like to see? And it's just simple yes or no. And based on how many times they say yes or say no, that gives you a guide to think, okay, should I push them or shouldn't I push them? You got to take into account what that person's showing you the day of.
Right.
So if they walk in and they're amped and they're ready to go, you got to take that interaction into account. But there's definitely very easy opportunities for us to just have a quick conversation before we get into the session, and then make our adjustments as needed. I think the other piece of it that will set a trainer up for success in that respect is to write out your programs, to make sure you're planning ahead of time what you're going to do for that client. So that way, if I do come in and you have me plan to crush it this day, and that's what's on my program. But I'm telling you, I just got chewed out at work, and I slept 4 hours last night because my baby was crying. That's not the day for me to crush it. And you have to have a plan
That's a great
for
idea.
what to do. I just read an article. I think it's called flexible periodization, and that's basically what the whole process is about. Is you have the plan set. You know the amount of high intensity days as well as low intensity days you want to get in, and you have your ideal path towards that. But you got to be able to be flexible, depending upon what the person represents.
For the mindfulness model, where could we find those questions?
He gave it to us as a PDF, so
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure if it's online anywhere. But it really is, and you can make it for yourself. I covered the first 3 questions where, and if anybody's ever seen Brandon present at like a Perform Better, he talks about it he's talked about it in his past presentations. But it's something, basically, you look at sleep, you have a couple quick questions on nutrition, hydration. Look at activity, and you ask about their energy level. Have them self-report. How ready are you to train, or how, because their subjective acknowledgement of where they're at is going to be impactful. It's going to help you guide what you choose to do. Because if they come in, regardless if they got everything else right, and they say, you know what, I feel like crap. I don't want to do anything. I'm super low energy, and this is not an opportunity to give them an out to constantly take it easy. But if they're coming in telling you they don't feel right, they're, regardless of how good they may be physically, mentally they're not in it. And if you try to push them, it's not going to result in what you want. Right. It's not to say that you have to completely take it easy. You just don't go to your 6 rep max on a lift. You adjust the volume, and you go to more potentially higher volume, lower intensity work, and you still get them moving, but you get them walking out feeling better than they came in. And that's ultimately what we want them to do.
And they'll appreciate that. Like, I think more often than not, we're young, as a young coach, like, you're afraid of not delivering, and you're afraid of, like, just not kicking the crap out of your client because you think that's what they want. Versus like again, like, I came in, my baby cried all night, and it's like they appreciate that them that well, where it's like, all right, man, like, I totally agree. Thanks very much for coming in. I know you didn't have to come in. You could have just no-showed me. But we're gonna do some work, and we're gonna get some work in. But we're gonna take advantage of this time to do some things that maybe you're not as good at, or some skill stuff, or something of that nature that allows them. And I think more often than not, we're so caught up in the allure of the toys and the movements. And, like, if I'm training you today, day 1, I've never worked with you before, and we do dynamic effort, box squats, sled sprints, kettlebell snatches, and a relay on the ski erg, what am I going to give you 6 months from now that's still cool? Like, how can I dose that in?
And also, was that the right place for me to start it? That's my first session, and I came in, and you just beat the hell out of me. Am I walking out thinking, yeah, I want to do that again? 6 months down the road, the answer to that question would probably be yes, because it's that idea around presenting people with challenges. If you don't create a big enough challenge, they're not motivated to want to overcome because they see it as too easy and they're not going to come back. But if you create too much of a challenge, it's like me showing up at the base of Mount Everest and saying, yeah, go ahead and climb that. Like, no, I'm out. So if I just came in and you gave me Mount Everest to climb on my first session, then I'm thinking, oh man, what do I got to deal with now for the rest of this program? So you got to find the right challenge that makes them feel that they were pushed, but also that they were successful. And again, that's the art of coaching. That you kind of mentioned earlier, is that idea that you got to look at what are they there to do, and how can you make them, feel better as they're working with you, get them to that goal, and really, have them enjoy the process. I think that's the other piece of training that's kind of left it a little bit, is this idea of enjoyment. Like, training, it should be, if you're not coming in and it doesn't have to be the, happy giggles all the time, but if you're not coming in having fun and enjoying the process, then, especially for our average client who has a lot of demands outside of training, then they're not going to come back. They're not going to want to continue.
Yeah.
They need to want to really like what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's looking at what our clients tend to come in for, part of what we have to keep in mind as trainers is that they, more often than not, at least in our setting, clients aren't coming in saying, I want to, put up a 500-pound deadlift. They're coming in with other goals. We use these tools as a means to get them there, but they're not coming in wanting to become a power lifter. Now, we do have clients that do want to do that, and we will get them there just the same as everybody else, but we got to realize the majority of our clients, they just want to come in, they want to feel better, look better, and just have that level of success as they're going through.
Yeah. And I think, as much as, as a trainer, like, I came from the powerlifting realm, and Grandma Betty may not have necessarily wanted to powerlift, but it was like getting her to, like, be comfortable being stronger was all of our goal. Like, she wasn't doing conjugate system by any means, but there might be days we get challenged. But at the same time, pushing those physical adaptations for them, like, you're not selling them a back squat, you're selling them being able to squat on their own and get out of off the couch or the Davenport without needing a cane every single day. And
honestly, it's taking the long view approach, because you don't know what that will build into. Because, case in point, my mom, she, was never the hugest fitness buff growing up. She was always active, but never the hugest fitness buff. But, she had some health scares, and so she got into running marathons, and we all ran them together.
Oh, awesome. As a family?
Yeah, as a family, yeah. We ran Chicago together. We ran the Wright Pat half marathon together.
It's a lot of time with your family.
Yes.
You're running together.
Yeah. Well, we weren't all in a pack. Like, some of us were ahead of others.
That's good. It's like, woo.
But, after a scare with cancer, she didn't really get back into running as much. But she started working with a trainer at a gym in St. Louis, and she never expressed any interest in powerlifting. Never expressed any interest in lifting heavy weights whatsoever. And I had been a trainer for years by this time. Yeah. But she started working with this trainer, and it was not that the trainer wanted her to be a powerlifter. It was that my mom started seeing, oh, what else can I do? Oh, wait, what she specifically told me is, like, I started lifting more than the person half my age next to me, and I thought that was cool.
That's really neat.
So she would. Now I started getting texts from her, like, I put up this much weight.
I
put up this much weight. She sent me pictures of, like,
Mom
how
goals.
much. I'm like, yeah. At her height, she pulled 195 from the floor. And she had been training maybe for a year and a half, started in her 60s, like, wasn't a power lifter to begin with. It's just, I guess I tell that story to say, you never know what our clients want to get into. Don't go into it trying to make them a power lifter, but recognize, hey, if they have that proclivity and they say, yeah, that's what I want to get into, don't shy away from it either. Yeah. So it just boils down to that client-centered approach. Like, what do they want to do? It's not about us as the trainer. I was talking to we have a lot of educators we work with. So I was talking to another educator, Michelle Dalcourt, and he's putting together some content for us, and he was talking about how he's putting together as a kind of a story building process. And in that, he was looking at it from the perspective of, when you build out a story, there's the hero, there's the guide, and then 5 other steps to go along with it. But one of the things that he makes sure to call out is, trainer, you are not the hero. The client's the hero. You're the guide. Yeah. So the hero of the story is always going to be the client. So they're the most important person. We just get to be that sidekick that helps them on that path.
Totally. I think Mama Berenc needs Instagram. Does she have Instagram?
She doesn't. I think she does. I don't think she's ever posted.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I have her as a follower, but I'm fairly certain she's never posted.
Oh man, we need to get her pulling that 195 on there.
It'll probably be more so just pictures of all of her various grandkids right now. And that's where she's focused on. But yeah, I got her a kettlebell for Christmas one year, and
that's awesome.
So but I mean that was fun to get those stories from her.
Yeah. Well, speaking of grandparents and evolving, you're a recently new dad.
Yep.
And how has fitness changed for you now that you're a parent?
It's been it's been have
That's
a lot
kind of an
patience.
insane laugh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, how do I want to answer this?
You travel all the time. I got a 3-month-old, a demanding job.
It's basically giving yourself patience and understanding that you don't have to be where you were prior to the kid.
Yeah.
And I won't refer to him as the kid anymore. His name's Sawyer. And my wife Esme, and she'll probably watch this. Like, you got to say his actual name. You can't call him the kid.
He's a human now.
Yeah, he's a person. So one of the things is it was a real wake-up call for me to realize no matter how much knowledge or information I have, the life demands will trump all. Like stress will trump all, and you just have to recognize what's going on in your life and take a step back and find the model that's going to fit for you. So for me, knowing that, going into it, my commitment was, okay, bare minimum, I'm just going to get in 20 minutes of a workout 3 days a week. I don't care if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, however it stacks up. If I can get in 3 days a week, which I wasn't 100% successful at, if I can get 3 days a week for 20 minutes at a clip, I'm good. And I kept it to swings, kettlebell swings, and Indian club swings.
Nice.
2 things. Those are my 2 things. That's my minimum expectation. If I can do more, awesome. But at a minimum, I can get that in. And that, I think, was for me, one of the biggest learnings is really just giving myself the out to say, okay, what's the minimum? What's my fallback plan? I can do more if I have the time, but not expecting myself to be at that same level. And then just looking for opportunities to sneak it in. Like that's, I think that's the other piece of it that I've started to come across is what's the creativity that you can bring to the training table.
Yeah.
So can I, if I'm working from home, for instance, can I do get up, go do 10 pull-ups, and then go back and do some more work, and do 5 push-ups. And throughout the course of my day, get in a full workout. It's just not in 60 minutes, it's in 6 hours. And then I think the other piece is which I'm really looking forward to is getting my kid, or I gotta stop saying that, getting Sawyer into the workouts.
Yeah.
So once he's old enough, I have a bunch of friends that sent me people on my team, the FTI team. They got me mini kettlebells, like knitted kettlebells that are a rattle, and a little barbell that's a rattle.
Oh man.
Yeah. So my goal is to have him fully in that space, and so just seeing how I can have him be a part of it. And so part of that's going to be me taking him on walks and just being creative about it.
I'm intrigued to see where fitness is for that generation because, my parents weren't like gym goers. I grew up out in the mountains, and so there's a lot of outdoor activity. And you said your parents weren't the biggest fitness buffs, and now it's like with CrossFit being so big and the fitness industry being in a whole different spot, you have parents who meet at the gym and they're both trainers.
Yes.
And now your kid is like, they grow up in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? Which, I mean, gosh, to be like, they're just out here running around playing.
Yeah.
Right? They're working out, playing, whatever. And what that does for their development kind of going forward.
Yeah, that's what I want to make sure he's very comfortable in this space because it's done so much for me. Whether he's ever a trainer, that's neither here nor there. But it's given me a ton of confidence to have kind of physical mastery over myself, so to speak. It sounds a lot more grandiose than I intended it to. But it's just an opportunity for him to be comfortable in who he is and explore what he can do. And I want to make sure he's a part of that. And case in point to what you just said, he and me and his wife or his mom did meet at Equinox. She was the front desk manager.
Oh, that's
so Esme and I met actually at the club I was managing, and we just didn't tell anybody until she had already left working for Equinox. But
don't tell anybody.
Now it's kind of out there. It was quite a few years ago.
I'm sure everyone knew.
Yeah, no, actually nobody knew. It was actually one of the funniest things was. I was, again, being an introvert, everybody tried to get me to talk and, try to, have conversations with me. And I remember one time we were dating and she's working at the front desk and she's behind my general manager. And at the time, my general manager is sitting there talking to me about, hey, my cousin, I'd like to introduce you. I'd like to set you guys up on a date. And I'm just cracking up inside because I'm looking at Esme over her shoulder and I'm like, oh, she's staring daggers. She's staring daggers.
Just poke that bear a little bit.
I took it a little bit further
You bastard.
just to mess with her. But I thought that was hilarious. So
I think, a lot of people, and I've talked to individuals, and for me, myself as a trainer, I used to train 12, 13 hours a day, and I wanted to get out of the fitness industry because, as great as that was in my young 20s, and not that I'm even close to having a family now, but what do I do when I'm 40? And I can't, like, sure, I might be able to give my wife the gift of being a mom and even the ability to maybe even stay at home and be a mom, but I wouldn't be there, right? And because, you know, my travel schedule, or if, you know, I was just training a lot of hours, like, that's a really hard thing to overcome in a human services industry, which is why I thought it was so amazing you guys have a maternity program for your coaches. But for you, you know, did you see yourself as you were coming through the ranks that this would be a long-term thing for you to be able to provide for a family?
I'm kind of, one of the things my wife has never really enjoyed about my personality is I never have looked too terribly far into the future. I'm kind of what I've referred to as a grinder. I put my head down and I work, and what comes may come. You know, so, but the going back to your original question, yeah, this was my career. Like, I knew this is personal training was what I was going to do. Like, you know, I didn't know starting out that I was going to be at Equinox, but I knew personal training was what I was going to do. So much so that I remember when I was in college, my parents and my eldest brother tried to talk me out of being a trainer.
Really?
They tried to talk me into physical therapy school because they, you know,
that's what they know.
Yeah, over 15 years ago, that was they're like, you want to be a trainer? What? No, you can't make a career out of that. But I wanted to do it, and so they supported me. But and you know, they're very happy with, you know, what I've been able to do.
You did okay for yourself.
But they were of course looking out for me. But yeah, this is what I've always wanted to do, and this was my really where my passion, you know, my passion was. And I think for anybody that's getting into this industry, you know, no matter where you work, if you want to be a trainer as a career, it's possible. It's just don't be a trainer by default. Be a trainer by design. Like, don't just fall into it and, you know, haphazardly build your schedule. If you know what's going to come up on your life, plan your schedule around that. Try to build it out. You know, be an active participant in your career. You know, and it's the lesson that I've had to learn. You know, like I said, I just tended to put my head down and I grinded it out. When I was a trainer, I'd work and do, you know, 13, 14, 15 sessions a day. I'd get here at, you know, 5 in the morning, leave at 7 at night. You know, and that was my day. But you have to have a plan in place, and you have to have that forward-thinking approach.
I think that's huge. Like, to be able to do it by design, not, what was it? Say that one more time.
Not by default, but by design, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think a lot of people, like you said, we talked about earlier, people come into it as an in-between thing. And then sometimes, you know, they find success and they stay. Right? Which is like, that was me. Like, I just happened to come into it, and I was like, oh, well, instead of coming to school for exercise or nutrition, like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, one of one of the great coaches that I've worked with over the years here, she originally started working for Equinox because it was like a layover before she went into med school. And she's like, oh, I'll just do that for a little bit before I go into med school. And then she did it, and she's like, oh, no, this is where I can have a huge impact. This is where I can really make a difference in somebody's life. And that was over, you know, like, I think she's been a trainer now for 18 years. Like, we have an opportunity to make a big impact, and so we have to treat it as such.
Yeah, that's really amazing. I love everything about the story. And the nuggets, I think there was a lot of really actionable information for young coaches to hopefully learn and learn about a story for someone that's in a very prestigious position in fitness. I know you're like, but I mean, to be the director of education for Equinox across the board, I mean, Equinox is huge and known for the quality of services that they provide across the board, yet you know, you don't have a huge social media following. We're going to give everybody your phone number and your social media handles at this show.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. I love everybody having my phone number.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But to be able to show, like, hey, just like how your followers doesn't show like your net worth, right? And in fact, like, you know, Instagram didn't come out until, gosh, I was almost done training, realistically. And like now it's a thing of how a lot of people drive their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, although it's a great value add, it's not the only thing that takes you through growth of this career. And like, you could not have one and still do just fine.
Yeah, if your only asset is the number of Instagram followers you have, then you're not long for this career. You know, and you're likely not adding a ton of value to the industry. Yeah, and again, that's the thing. Instagram, social media in general, it's not a bad thing. It can be used, and like I said, I'm trying to do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, it can be used to great benefit, both from a business standpoint, educationally. Just it has a lot of value that you can add to the equation. But if that's your only asset, then that's a problem. You know, we trainers, we're successful because of the results we can get people. And one of my colleagues that I've worked with for a number of years, Mark, you know, he's fond of saying there's no staying the same. There's only you're getting better or you're getting worse.
Yeah.
Because if you think you're staying the same, everybody else is getting better, and you've gotten worse by design. So there's an opportunity for us to really bring a lot of value to what we do. And again, I just come back to just look at the impact. If we think about our own lives, when was the last time you spent 3 hours a week with your best friend, or your doctor on a weekly basis? My brothers live 5 minutes down the street. I don't spend 3 hours a week with them, as much as I would love to.
Yeah.
I just, life gets in the way. So our clients put a lot of value and a lot of trust in us, and we got to make sure we're owning up to that, and seeing that as the honor that it is, seeing that as the responsibility that we have to support them in the process.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap up here, something we like to kind of tally the show with is, and there's been a lot of these nuggets, so it'll probably be recap, but what's a piece of advice you have for a brand new trainer getting into the industry and how they can be successful?
I mean, the first thing, and I don't know if this is the best advice or not, but be patient with your development. Don't try to get everything from the jump. Don't try to go in all these different directions. Be patient, take some time, and then as you learn new skills or learn new information, take the time with that and actually hone that skill. I think a lot of new trainers, they're so excited and it's great, and you don't want to take away from that excitement, but they're so excited that they jump from certification to certification and this to this, and they never actually stop and take time to, I'm going to practice what I learned in that cert. So take the time to go through something, and for the next 3 weeks, what's one skill that you've learned in that piece of education that you can apply to your clients, and get really good at that skill, and then move on to the next thing and the next thing, and just build it over time, and just have that patience to know that if you take that conscious approach to development, it's the kind of the idea of the 1% gains. Like over time, it just snowballs into bigger and bigger changes.
I love that. I think that is great advice. So, you may not look at it that way, but I thought that was some of the best advice a young person can actually ascertain from this podcast.
Nice.
Anything else from you?
No, I think we're good. Where can people find you? What's your address?
Phone number. Remember?
Well, I did just move when Esme was 8.5 months pregnant. Don't ever do that.
You're just a risk taker.
Yeah, that was a bad play. Thankfully, it was a good move, but it was not a great idea to do that. But I guess I don't have a website, so if anybody wants to at least learn more about Equinox, they can go to equinox.com, or we have on there's a career site. So if you're interested in learning about careers that we have. You just scroll down to the bottom of the page. I don't have the site off the top of my head, which our recruiting team will probably hate me for.
Equinox.com, scroll to the bottom.
Yes, Equinox.com, go all the way to the bottom. You'll see the word careers, click on that. But beyond that, like I said, a couple times I have Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to find me on there and see the kind of the random things I'm trying to play with, it's just I'm fairly certain my Instagram is Matthew.Berenc. And I'm pretty sure my Facebook is Matt.Berenc. I was not very creative.
Not a good start.
Sorry, like I said, social media is not my big strong suit.
I'm kidding. How do you spell your last name? Because it's not.
So yeah, good call. It's Berenc. So if you just type in Matt Berenc, and again, last name Berenc, generally speaking, you'll come across something that has me in there, and then you can probably find me that way. But yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Those are the two probably most diverse mediums to engage with me on.
For sure.
And if you want to see him more often, go get a job at Equinox, and this dude travels more than we do. So how many flights you at this year?
Well, so this year I had to ramp it down because about a month out from Sawyer being born.
Look at that, good job.
So my wife basically said, look, if you're on the road and he's born, you're dead. So yeah, fair enough. Good call. So about a month to a month out, I ramped it down, and I haven't traveled since, but I'll have 2 more flights before the year's out. For work, and then at the beginning of the year, I think I had been up to about maybe 15 trips, so give or take. I get to go to some pretty cool places.
Yeah,
I get to meet a lot. I get to meet a lot of really great trainers. We have a lot of awesome people within our clubs, and I'm just happy that I get to go and talk to them and say hi, and just learn from them as I'm going around.
The single non-married with a kid or a Sawyer in my life version of that is like, it's actually really fun to go travel around and see people and hang out. Yeah. Because when I go home, I just go home and lay on my couch by myself. So a give and take. But I don't.
I did that for many years. I'll just go here, I'll go there. Now it's I need to make a plan now. So
you had an awesome travel tip right before the show started. But About time zones?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've put a lot of effort into, like I mentioned, our M&R philosophy of movement, nutrition, and regen, and a cornerstone of regen is sleep. And we work with a sleep specialist, Dr. Jennifer Martin, and so one of the nuggets she's given us over the years is, for every time zone you cross, that's a day that you need to take to adapt to that new time. So if I go to New York, it's going to, to avoid jet lag, it's going to be roughly about 3 days before I can be level. Unfortunately, when I go to New York, I'm there for about 4 days. So I come back and then start the process all over again. But it's a good, for a lot of us, we have clients that travel and they go, internationally as well as nationally. And for us to be able to give them that general framework, but then also take kind of steps to help them prepare for that travel, that's going to pay off dividends for them, because whether they go and they work out wherever they're going, at least they'll be fresh, they'll feel better, and it'll help them out.
Sure.
I should probably do that more often. MNR, I'm on it. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining the Fitness Break Room. Thank you, Matt, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to be here in beautiful SoCal.
Yeah, happy I could be on, yeah.
Thanks again for listening to the Fitness Break Room podcast, everybody. You can follow us on Instagram at Fitness Break Room. And if you're looking to enter our monthly fitness swag giveaway, you can visit our website, fitnessbreakroom.com, and all that info's on the homepage. Hundreds of dollars worth of awesome stuff, so I wouldn't miss that. And then you can even subscribe to this podcast on iTunes and leave us a review if you're digging what we're bringing you. That would be awesome and very helpful. Okay, guys, have a beautiful week. Stay strong and always look out for the little guy.